ALÚ ALÚ Studio operates at the intersection of tradition, science, and contemporary design. Founded in Barcelona, the brand transforms an intimate heritage rooted in the sea, specifically the ancestral technique of knotting, into a distinctive visual and conceptual language. Through a unique combination of analytical thinking and artistic sensitivity, ALÚ reinterprets craftsmanship as a form of innovation, evolving it into contemporary textile pieces that connect memory, structure, and expression. More than preserving the tradition, the studio redefines it, turning a functional legacy into a forward-looking design practice. Let's now take a closer look at ALÚ ALÚ. Aida, thank you so much for being here today and sharing the insights and the vision behind ALÚ ALÚ, and welcome to the 080 Barcelona Fashion Connect.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, ALÚ ALÚ Studio was born from a personal legacy rooted in the sea, craftsmanship, and scientific observation. What opportunity did you identify when transforming that heritage into a contemporary design brand, and how has your positioning evolved since then?
So my family has always been connected to the sea, where knotting became part of my everyday life. And so my grandmother was the one who taught me this technique because she used it to mend the fishing nets of the family boats. So I saw an opportunity to transform this tradition and heritage into something alive, into pieces of jewelry that could be worn. And now the brand has evolved into more like a studio brand, however, always keeping that artisanal process.
Aida, you, as the founder and creative mind behind ALÚ ALÚ Studios, you combine this family background in fishing with the studies in marine science and technology. How does this dual perspective shape the conceptual identity and long-term evolution of the studio?
So I think my background is a great fit for my own brand because on one hand, I have my studies in marine science and technology, which allowed me to have this analytical vision, to always analyze, to have this critical thinking, and to analyze the patterns that I create using these knots. And on the other hand, I always have like an artistical sensibility. For example, I've always played the piano. I've always been interested in the design and creating things with my own hands. And that's why ALÚ ALÚ think is different, because we combine these two different thoughts into one.
And you have this perfect balance in the end.
Yeah.
And the art of knotting, inherited from your grandmother fishing nets, that you, as you said before, is a recurring element in your work. What internal creative processes allow you to reinterpret this ancestral technique into contemporary high design pieces?
So my grandmother, she was great at knotting. She was the one who taught me this technique. And so you would think it's easy at first because it just knots. How difficult could it be to just make a knot?
Well, it seems difficult actually to me.
However, by the repetition of this act of knotting, it allows us to create these complex and really intricate pieces. And so what this knotting technique allows us is to create that. And also what I think is, for me, a very kind of interesting thing about the process is watching a simple thread turn into, using this technique, turn into this really complex piece.
And as we were saying during this interview, your work exists at the intersection of tradition, science, and contemporary aesthetics. In a saturated creative landscape, how do you maintain a distinctive visual language that remains authentic and recognizable?
So first of all, we don't follow trends. I don't like to follow trends because I like to create pieces that are for more than one season, that can be worn throughout the years and that are durable. And what this knotting technique allows us is to create pieces with great designs that also are weightless and that are authentic to our brand and recognizable to others.
And looking ahead, what are your strategic priorities in terms of product innovation, brand positioning, and international development for ALÚ ALÚ Studio as a multidisciplinary design studio?
So I remember this interview from last year, and I remember I told you we wanted to grow, and we have grown.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But we want to grow even more. We want to consolidate ALÚ ALÚ as a textile jewelry brand. And so internationally, we want to grow as collaborating with concept stores and galleries, just as we have done here with the stores of La Capelle, such as Museu Marítim, Palau de la Música, or the Design Hub. And so I hope next year I will be here again. And I can tell you that we have grown, but we want to grow even more.
I'm sure you're going to achieve all of your goals. Thank you so much for sharing the insights behind ALÚ ALÚ. Thank you, Aida. ALÚ ALÚ is building a highly distinctive positioning within the contemporary design landscape, where craftsmanship, science, and storytelling converge into a coherent and recognizable language. With a strategic focus on strengthening its identity as a textile accessory brand, the studio is evolving with intention and clarity. At its core, ALÚ ALÚ demonstrates that innovation does not always come from the new, but from reinterpreting what already exists with the precision and vision.